What is the best drunk story you have about a friend that you're not allowed to tell in their presence? 20 years old. Let friends stay at house after a party. Continue drinking into the night. Go to bed. Wake up next day. Go into living room where I had 3 friends sleeping. Poop everywhere. Poop. Flip my shitty. Friend crawling on floor grabs my leg in redditing. Who shitty on me? Asterisk. He's covered in shitty. In shitty stained underwear. His pants across the room on the floor. Poop larger than I've ever seen in them. And a smear trail leading away. He denies it even today. He was a big guy. And the amount of poop was devastating. I had to replace furniture. This happened while my friend was incredibly drunk. As we left the ballroom at a formal dance we were in. We went into an elevator with 2 cops in it. My friend proceeds to wave to them. Turns around, now facing the elevator door, and proceeds to unzip his pants and pee on the elevator door. He was arrested and spent 17 hours in jail where he claimed to have met a pimp named Vanilla V. He still has the pimp's number. We were at a bar in Boston. Snacking. Drinking. And talking. Mid-sentence my friend threw up on the floor. And then carried on like nothing was wrong. To this day. She denies it. White girl wasted professional right there. The line at the bathroom was long. So I handed my friend a cup and she proceeded to lift up a dress and pee in it on the dance floor at a club. Hey, is that vodka Red Bull? Let me try it. After a lovely Italian banquet. Dressed semi-formally. My best friend. Her brother and his girlfriend and I decide to continue drinking at our local watering hole. My friend ate tripe and God only knows what else, and upon arrival at the bar. Announces that she needs to go. Except it's like a F King high school reunion and there and she refuses to poop in a small 2-stall extremely crowded bathroom. So we head back outside and she finds an alley and proceeds to liquid tea a mere 20 feet from the bar with me on watch out. All's better and she's finishing up when a gust of hot wind comes from behind her and takes the stank of poo directly into my face. I immediately vomited. We both don't like to talk about it. While sober. I once farted in my own face. Bent over to do something. The sudden pressure change caused a fart to squeak out and the wind carried the butt air directly into my own face. It felt warm. My ex once showed up at 2 in the morning unannounced after we had been broken up for 2 weeks. She is hammered drunk. So I just put her to bed because I had to work in the morning and didn't even wanna deal with her. About an hour later I wake up and she is squatting down on my floor taking a piss. I turn the light on and I'm like, WTF are you doing? Full stop. She pulls her pants up, pushes me away and calls me some other dude's name. She's grabbing her stuff to leave. And I'm pretty pissed at this point, so just let her leave super drunk. I clean up the piss and go back to bed. About an hour later someone is pounding on my door again. I open it and it's Ash like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, you just pissed on my floor and left. She responds with PFFF, I wasn't even here. My girlfriend at the time got completely smashed by trying to play some catch up. She showed up 2 hours later than everyone else and decided chugging some Smirnoff would be the best way to catch up. Yada. 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 And I end up taking her home to try to sleep it off. She has some water and insists that she is fine laying in bed. Well, I figure she's asleep and safe, so I drunkenly go downstairs to make some 3 AM KD. I come upstairs about 20 minutes later to find my bed empty. And the bathroom light on and the door closed. So I knock a few times and call her name but get no response. Worrying. I open up the door and am greeted by the worst stench I've ever experienced. Turns out she had went to puke in the toilet and ended up passing out and shitting all over the floor and herself. So I had to man up and clean her up and put her back into bed. The next morning she asked about it and I didn't say much other than the puking side of things, and that was the end of that. You're a saint. One of my friends managed to glue her teeth together and then proceeded to black out with her head half in a toilet. Edit. Let me clarify by saying that she was fine. She had vomited beforehand and her boyfriend unstuck her jaw. I don't know how. I felt it was best to just leave it there. My heart instantly dropped by thinking about all the negative possibilities that could have occurred in that situation. She was in the toilet trying to vomit through glued teeth. That's like something Jigsaw would think up. Once my friend tried to kiss me, then proceeded to pee in her cat's litter box. After reading some of these I realized the bathtub is the best place to put a drunk friend. A big group of my friends went out one night after some pretty serious pro-gaming. They get to a bar, drink some more. Everyone's really wasted and a couple hours pass. Eventually the group reconvenes and decides to call it a night. At this point, they realize one person, let's call him K, is missing. But they just assume he's found his way home and leave. The next morning, K is nowhere to be found. It isn't until 24 hours later that they finally found out what happened. K got so drunk he went running naked through the city until the police finally arrested him. He blew a back of. My freshman year of college, me and my small group of friends went to my boyfriend's family's cabin for a weekend of drinking. The first night there we all got pretty TTY and somehow the night ended in me and the other girl in the group having a competition to see who can get their boyfriend to stay hard longest. Then it turned into a blowjob race. And then it ended in the two couples of the group having sex with their partner, with the odd guy out just jerking it. All of this was going on in the same room. Everybody swore to not speak of it after that night. Everyone's laughing and riding and cornholing except Buster. My cousin took me and two other friends out to celebrate the new year. One of the friends, Amy, had not eaten before drinking and demanded McDonald's. As we were pulling in the near empty parking lot at the hour only people like us are out, her favorite song came on. She opened the door of the moving vehicle, jumped out, and landed on her feet. Then began to shake it like a salt shaker across the parking lot. My buddy had sex with a girl while his girlfriend was passed out next to them in the same bed. They're getting married next week and I'm the best man. Maybe he missed. 5 of us spent the weekend in Juarez a while back, before it was so murdery. One dude drank nothing but tequila and spent the whole night chatting up a girl he was convinced was the hottest thing he had ever seen. We spent the whole night trying to convince him she was a dude. One blowjob in an alley later, she flops out her cock for reciprocation. He actually threw up on her and ran out to us yelling FCK FCK FCK. We laughed and laughed. And laughed. Then laughed some more. If we ever try to tell that story around him he will take his ball and go home immediately. A friend of mine once drunkenly pulled out her tampon and chewed on it. Then she tried to, have sex with Strangle everyone. We're not really friends anymore. But that is a story that's never been told to her. Because we all think she doesn't really remember. And if she does is way too mortified to acknowledge it. So we all just silently share the horrifying memory of that night. Ratchet. We had a big party at my house and my female best friend got very drunk. In the morning, I woke to find that she had puked all over my bathroom. I then followed her trail of destruction upstairs. I see that my 13-year-old son's bedroom is ajar. Fortunately, he is with his mother that weekend because when I peer in the open door, I find my friend passed out and wearing nothing below the waist. Not only is she bottomless, she is laying spread eagle in such a way that I get a full, wide open crotch shot. Not thinking, I quickly retreated downstairs to avoid embarrassing her and to clean up her vomit in the downstairs bathroom. I didn't close the door, not wanting to wake her and have her discover me staring right at her crotch. A short time later, my 17-year-old comes downstairs from his room. He lets us know that he got the same view I did. If I ever mention that story again, I think our 10-year plus friendship will be over. I was at my friend's party and things were winding down. People were leaving so me and a couple of friends decided we were too drunk to leave and stayed the night. I slept on the floor next this my friend's bed and woke up at about 3 in the morning to him getting up. He proceeded to walk over to the corner of his closet and start peeing. I got up and asked him what the hell he was doing and tried pulling up his pants for him, but he pushed me away and said let a brother take his piss. My friend and I were extremely intoxicated and decided we really needed to take a piss in the woods near a house party we had gone to. As we were both perched on a hill, her behind me, squatting and holding onto the ground for dear life, she fell and I proceeded to pee on her face. She didn't even yell for me to stop. My friend dropped her slice of pizza and yelled oh no. Pizza emergency. She freaked out for like 5 minutes. And then they gave her a replacement slice to shut her up and shoot us out of the store. She will not let me tell this story in her presence. To be fair, when you're drunk and you drop a slice of pizza on the ground, it's a pretty f***ing serious issue. Edit. It appears a lot of us are in agreement. Dropped pizza is definitely worth crying over. Unlike spilled milk. Went to a house party in high school with a couple of buddies. Let's call them John and Marcus. After a couple of hours Marcus was fairly drunk and talking up a rather unattractive young lady. A few minutes later they headed upstairs together. About 5 minutes passed and John, who was also rather intoxicated, stood up and went after them. From where I was sitting I could see up the stairs and I watched as John proceeds to kick open the locked bedroom door and scream you'll thank me for this tomorrow. A moment later he comes out with Marcus over his shoulder and stormed out of the front door. I drove them both home. Marcus thanked John the next day. Like a true bro. A friend of mine was once caught having a wank at a bus stop. Bus wanker. A group of us went to a pretty busy bar in Ocean City, Maryland. We each had a buddy, so if we get lost we at least have each other. Will 10 minutes and my buddy and I get kicked out for crowd surfing. Few others stayed after we left and one decided to leave with us. My one lady friend thought it would be a good idea to have a hardcore makeout session with a pretty sleazy man in a dark corner of a bathroom. Will apparently it went farther than making out and she gave him a handy. He blew his load all over her and she tried to wipe some of it on the wall. She then had to ride the bus back to the apartment drunk and have covered with jazz. She's getting married in a few months and better be prepared for this story to come out when I'm good and toasted. Edit. Obviously I meant jizz. I should know better. I've been around the interwebs a few times. That seems like a terrible story to tell at a wedding. Jazz hands. Sorry. A few months ago my friend was at a party where he got shitty-faced and declared to the entire room, directed at this girl who he wasn't even talking to beforehand, "You gotta pick. I tease either me or this guy," and pointed a thumb at himself. After that he yelled that these were his people. And he proceeded to shove his face in said girl's chest and motorboated to his heart's content. He also had body slammed his friend's brother into a furnace, splitting his head open. He had actually texted this friend the morning after, asking him if he had behaved. His friend, knowing what happened to his brother, said, "Yeah, you were really good last night," completely seriously. He had thought he'd done well that night. She fell asleep on a toilet while she was at a friend's house. Somehow got home, got naked, and got into bed. Unfortunately, she got into her mom's bed instead of her own. My friend got pretty drunk one night and while we were peeing in a bush she asked me if I ever shaved my vagina and then proceeded to show me her shaved vagina. It's a lot of work. Someone should see it. Stumbling around late night in the city with 4 guy buddies after the bars closed. All of us either blacked out or on the verge. Random big belly non-threatening looking guy trots over to us and says, "Guys, stop. You can't be walking around the streets wasted like this." I'm an undercover officer, sort of scoping out each one of us. I know immediately this guy is full of shit but wonder where the FCK he's going with this. And watch him zero in on the sloppiest drunk in our group and order him to put his hands on the wall. With sloppy drunk friend's hands against the wall, big bellied random guy starts feeling his body up and down and begins massaging my friend's balls. After a few seconds of this I finally decide to yell at the guy, tell him to FCK off because no you're not a F-kin cop, get lost. Random guy stops, mumbles a few things at me and walks away. TLDR. Random guy pretends to be a cop. Massages my drunken friend's balls. Profit. I basically nursed my friend back to health from near alcohol poisoning, during which he was over the toilet for 3 hours. We were still at the party he got insanely crossed at, so the music was playing pretty loud. At this point he is in his underwear cause it's so hot. His head is deep in the toilet, on his knees, gagging every so often, and shaking his whitey tidy ass to Beyonce without missing a beat. In college, one of my friends was waiting for a bus back to campus from downtown since his girlfriend was not feeling well after a night of drinking. Enter a mob of loud, obnoxious, and drunk black girls who clearly did not care about anyone else in the world. My friend politely asked them to keep it down, as some people were not having the best of nights. Mere seconds later, he would feel the fury of the Black Panthers as they rained blow after blow upon him with his girlfriend stood beside him in horror. After my friend took their beating and it seemed like things were over, one of the girls turns around and throws a full slice of pizza at him that lands right on his chest, completely crushing his soul and instilling a fear of large black women that he will never be able to shake. The black girl wrath is unavoidable. My friend got so wasted she refused to get out of her car when we got home, so she slept in her car. In the morning she woke up covered in her own piss and a broken phone because it was in her back pocket. My friend once had a full makeout session with an extremely large woman in a bar. I went to the bathroom and came back to find them going at it while a crowd of spectators watched in awe. I have nothing against large women, but I don't think he'd be too proud of that one. I also don't tell him about how he projectile vomited over the bar later on. BRB grabbing popcorn. First week of college, my buddy was having drunk sex with this random freshman girl he met at a party and ended up finishing on her stomach. Pretty standard procedure, emo. I guess she's never had a guy do that before, so she wiped the semen off her chest and stomach with her hand and slapped my friend across the face with his own jizz and told him to leave. He only told me and a couple of our friends and told us to never speak about it again because a week after he met the girl he's been dating ever since. When I was younger, I went on a trip to Germany with some rather nerdish friends. Being from the States and generally being sheltered, none of them had ever been drunk before. I, on the other hand, had parents that believed in benign neglect for the most part. We hit up a bar, and two of them, a couple, order a beer to split. By the time the guy has finished his half of a beer, he is shitty-faced drunk, removes his shirt, and gets up on the bar singing the American national anthem. Many laughs were had. At a party with friends A, B, and C, it's a kegger in a relatively nice house and then it starts getting trashed. Anyway, the bathroom is getting foul and we have to double up to keep the door shut. After we, A and B, P, we realize there is no TP, so we use the shower curtain. 2 hours later, people are pissed that someone S are getting it on in the shower with the door jammed. So the crown finally gets the door open and the girl is mortified. She screams and wraps herself in the shower curtain. Out walks friend C in a pissy shower curtain. And everyone saw her getting it on. She still does not know about the P.